Ah, look who just shifted the entire frequency of their existence without even realizing it. Welcome back, you accidental architects of fate, you silent heroes who never wore capes, you beautiful fools who gave without expecting return. Welcome to the moment where your kindness just triggered something in the shadows, something ancient, something watching, something that never forgets a debt. You fed a stray, didn't you? Not literally, maybe, not always. But somewhere, somehow, you extended your hand into the void when nobody was looking. You helped someone when it cost you something. You showed up when everyone else walked away. You gave your last piece of bread to someone who couldn't pay you back. And you did it quietly, didn't you? No post, no story, no witness, no applause. Just you in that moment and the decision to be more than this world taught you to be. Here's what they never told you about kindness, about real kindness, the kind that costs you something, the kind that leaves you a little emptier, a little more vulnerable. It doesn't just disappear into the void. It doesn't just evaporate into the universe like some cosmic tax write-off. No. That energy, that moment, that choice, it travels. It moves through networks you can't see, through connections you never knew existed, through systems that operate on frequencies most humans can't even perceive. And sometimes, just sometimes, that kindness lands in front of someone who wasn't supposed to see it. Someone who's been searching for proof, for a sign, for evidence that something in this world still operates outside of transactions, outside of manipulation, outside of the filthy machinery of self-interest. Someone who owns things, not just money, not just power, but influence that bends reality, access that opens doors you didn't know existed, resources that could change your life in ways you haven't dared to imagine. And now, right now, in this very moment, they're watching you. Not with suspicion, not with judgment, but with something far more dangerous than either. Respect. You became interesting to someone who doesn't get interested easily. You triggered something in someone who stopped believing people like you existed. That stray you fed, metaphorically speaking, that wasn't just some random soul passing through your life. That was a test you didn't know you were taking. That was an audition you never signed up for. That was a doorway disguised as a dead end. And you beautiful idiot, you passed without even trying. Because you weren't trying, that's the whole point. You weren't performing goodness for an audience. You weren't calculating the return on investment of your compassion. You just moved instinctively from someplace inside you that this world tried to kill but couldn't. Now let me tell you what's happening right now, right this second, in rooms you'll never see, in conversations you'll never hear. Your name is being spoken. Not gossiped about, not analyzed, but presented. Presented as an anomaly, as an asset, as someone worth paying attention to. They're asking questions about you, not invasive questions, not creepy surveillance questions, but strategic questions. Who is this person? What makes them move like that? What's their story? What do they want? What are they capable of? What would happen if we gave them an opportunity they never expected? Because people who operate at certain levels, they're not looking for credentials anymore. They're not moved by performance. They're looking for something far more rare and far more valuable. Authenticity in action, character under pressure, goodness without an audience. And you, my friend, you just displayed all three without knowing anyone was grading the paper. You think your good deeds go unnoticed, don't you? You think your quiet sacrifices disappear into the machinery of an indifferent universe. You think nobody saw you stay late to help that coworker who never thanked you. You think nobody noticed when you paid for that stranger's coffee without making it a moment. You think nobody registered when you chose kindness over revenge, silence over drama, grace over pettiness. But here's the thing about energy, about real energy, the kind that shifts molecules and bends probability. It always finds its way to someone who's tuned to that frequency, always. And the people who operate at the highest levels, the ones who've seen everything, done everything, been disappointed by everyone, they've developed sensors for this specific signature. They can smell authenticity from miles away because it's so goddamn rare in the circles they move in. Everyone wants something from them. Everyone's performing, angling, networking, calculating, but you weren't doing any of that. You were just being decent when it cost you something. And that got their attention in ways your ambition never could. Let me take you deeper into what's really happening here. This isn't some fairy tale where kindness gets rewarded with cash and prizes. This isn't karma working like some cosmic vending machine where you put in good deeds and get back equal value. No, this is far more interesting and far more dangerous than that. This is about recognition, about being seen by eyes that actually matter, by minds that can actually move pieces on boards you didn't know existed. That stray you fed, let's talk about what that really means. Maybe it was literal. Maybe you actually fed a homeless person, gave money to someone begging, helped an animal in distress. Or maybe it was metaphorical. Maybe you mentored someone who had nothing to offer you in return. Maybe you defended someone who everyone else had written off. Maybe you showed loyalty to someone when it would have been easier to abandon them. Maybe you told the truth when lying would have advanced your position. Maybe you chose integrity over opportunity in a moment when nobody would have blamed you for taking the easier path. Whatever it was, however it manifested, it created a ripple. And that ripple traveled through networks of energy and connection that operate outside normal perception, outside normal time, outside the cause and effect that most people think governs reality. And somewhere in that network, someone felt it. Someone who's been navigating those frequencies for years. Someone who's learned to recognize patterns. Someone who knows that the people worth investing in aren't the ones screaming for attention, but the ones quietly holding the world together when nobody's watching. They felt your frequency. They registered your signature. And now they're curious. Not curious like some bored aristocrat watching peasants for entertainment. Curious like a master craftsman who just saw someone using a tool in a way they've never seen before. Curious like a general who just witnessed a soldier display courage they thought had gone extinct. Curious like an architect who just found a material they didn't know existed. And here's where it gets interesting, where your life is about to take a turn you didn't see coming. They're coming for you, not to harm you, not to exploit you, not to use you up and spit you out. They're coming for you because they recognize something in you that they've been searching for, something that can't be taught, can't be faked, can't be manufactured. Character, integrity, the capacity to act without immediate reward, the ability to see another human being as a human being and not as a transaction or a stepping stone or an obstacle. This is rare. This is precious. This is the kind of quality that people who've built empires know they can't buy, can't hire, and can't simulate with all the money in the world. And when they find it, when they stumble across it in the wild like some endangered species they thought had gone extinct, they move on it. Not with manipulation, not with seduction, but with opportunity. Real opportunity, the kind that changes trajectories, the kind that opens doors you didn't know were doors. But here's what you need to understand before this happens, before this wave hits you, before your life gets interrupted by forces you weren't expecting. This isn't about you getting rescued. This isn't about some powerful person swooping in to save you from your circumstances. This is about you being recognized for what you already are, for what you've been building in silence, for the foundation you laid when nobody was watching and no reward was promised. They're not coming to change you. They're coming because you don't need to be changed. They're not coming to fix you. They're coming because you're not broken. They're not coming to teach you values. They're coming because you already embody the values they've spent lifetimes trying to instill in people who never quite got it. You are the finished product, walking around in a world full of prototypes. You are proof that something in the human spirit still works the way it's supposed to, and that makes you valuable in ways you haven't begun to comprehend. Now let's talk about what happens when they make contact. It won't be obvious at first. These kinds of people, the ones who operate at levels where influence is measured in shifted realities rather than social media metrics, they don't announce themselves with trumpets and fanfare. They move subtly, strategically, testing the waters before committing resources. You might get a strange message from an account you don't recognize. You might get invited to something that seems slightly outside your normal orbit. You might have a conversation with someone who seems to know more about you than they should, who asks questions that feel like they're probing for something deeper than small talk. You might get offered an opportunity that seems too good, too random, too perfectly timed to be coincidence. Pay attention. Pay very close attention, because what's happening isn't luck. To expose it isn't some random act of universal generosity. What's happening is that your frequency just matched with someone who's been scanning for exactly that signal. Here's what they're looking for in that first contact, in those initial tests. They're not looking for gratitude, not looking for you to fall at their feet, thanking them for noticing you. They're looking for the same thing they saw in your original act of kindness: authenticity, groundedness, the ability to receive without losing yourself, to accept opportunity without becoming desperate, to engage with power without becoming servile. Because here's the secret about people who actually have power, real power, the kind that moves mountains and reshapes industries and changes lives. They're surrounded by people who want something from them every single day. They're drowning in flattery and manipulation and performance, in people who've learned to simulate authenticity so well they've almost forgotten they're performing. What they crave, what they're desperate for, is someone who doesn't need them, doesn't transform into a different person the moment they realize who they're talking to. Someone who stays themselves regardless of what's on the table. And if you can do that, if you can engage with opportunity the same way you engage with that stray, with honesty and groundedness and an absence of desperation, then everything changes. Let me tell you what's about to happen in your life if you navigate this correctly. Doors that were welded shut are going to swing open. Conversations that seemed impossible are going to happen naturally. Resources that seemed forever out of reach are going to become available. Not because you manipulated your way in, not because you networked and schemed and performed, but because you demonstrated something that can't be taught. The capacity to be human in a world that's forgotten how. And the people who remember what that looks like, who've been searching for it, who've been testing for it in countless interactions and coming up empty again and again, They protect it when they find it. They invest in it. They create pathways for it, not out of charity, not out of pity, but out of strategic recognition that people like you are the rarest resource in a world overflowing with everything else. Yeah. Okay. But I need to give you a warning. A real warning. Not some soft motivational cushion, but a hard truth you need to hear before this wave hits. This will change you. Not in the ways you think, not in the ways fairy tales promise, but in deep, uncomfortable ways that will test everything you think you know about yourself. Because when opportunity arrives, when doors open, when powerful people extend hands, you're going to have to make choices. Choices about who you are, what you value, where your lines are drawn. You're going to be tempted to compromise, to adjust, to smooth out your edges so you fit better into spaces that weren't built for people like you. You're going to feel pressure to perform, to prove you deserve this, to transform yourself into someone more palatable, more strategic, more like them. And if you do that, if you lose yourself in the process of accepting their recognition, then the whole thing becomes meaningless. You become just another person who got an opportunity and turned into someone else. Just another cautionary tale about how success corrupts, how power changes people, how nobody stays true when the stakes get high enough. Don't do that. Don't you dare do that. Because the only reason they're coming for you is because you didn't do that when it cost you nothing to maintain your integrity. You held your ground when nobody was watching, when there was no reward, when maintaining your values meant staying small and unknown and unrewarded. That's what made you interesting. That's what triggered their sensors. That's what made them move. So when they arrive, when the tests begin, when the opportunities present themselves, stay exactly who you were when you fed that stray. Stay grounded, stay honest, stay human, because that's the only version of you that's actually worth elevating. That's the only version of you that can handle what's coming without being destroyed by it. That's the only version of you that they actually want to invest in. Even if they don't say it explicitly, even if they test you in ways that seem to be asking for something different. Now, let me paint you a picture of what this looks like in practical terms. Because I know you're wondering how this manifests in actual reality and not just in metaphysical poetry. That good deed you did, that moment of kindness that cost you something, it didn't just create warm fuzzy feelings in the universe. It created information. Information about who you are, how you move, what you value, what you're capable of. And that information traveled. Maybe it traveled through someone who witnessed it and couldn't stop thinking about it. Maybe it traveled through systems of connection and coincidence that brought your name up in a conversation where it mattered. Maybe it traveled through energetic channels that science hasn't mapped yet, but people who operate at certain frequencies know how to navigate. However it traveled, it arrived somewhere it wasn't supposed to, in front of someone who wasn't supposed to see it. And it changed their assessment of reality just slightly. Made them think maybe not everyone is completely corrupted by self-interest. Made them wonder if there are still people out there operating from something other than fear and greed and desperate ambition. And when people at that level start wondering about you, things happen. Algorithms shift in your favor for reasons nobody can quite explain. Your name comes up in conversations that have nothing to do with your field. People you've never met start mentioning you to other people who matter. Opportunities materialize that seem to have no logical connection to anything you've done. This isn't magic. This isn't wishful thinking. This is how influence actually works at levels most people never encounter. It's not about who you know, it's about who knows about you. It's not about your network, it's about the information that travels through networks, about your character, your capacity, your essence. And right now, in this moment, accurate information about you is traveling through networks you don't have access to, reaching people you've never met, creating possibilities you haven't imagined, because you fed astray, because you did something decent when it cost you and nobody was watching. Because you proved something that needed to be proven to someone who needed to see it proven at exactly the moment when they were paying attention. Here's what happens next, and you need to be ready for this. You're going to doubt it. You're going to doubt all of it. When the opportunity arrives, when the door opens, when someone reaches out with something that seems too good, too random, too perfectly aligned with what you need, you're going to assume it's a trap. You're going to look for the catch, the angle, the hidden cost. You're going to wonder what they really want, what you're going to have to compromise, what piece of yourself you're going to have to surrender. And I'm here to tell you that's not entirely wrong. There will be costs. There will be tests. There will be prices you'll have to pay. But those prices won't be about compromising your core, won't be about becoming someone you're not, won't be about selling out the values that got you here. The prices will be about stepping into a bigger version of yourself, about accepting that you're worth more than you thought, about allowing yourself to be seen and valued and invested in by people who actually have the resources to back their recognition. The real test isn't whether you can perform for them, it's whether you can receive from them without losing yourself, whether you can accept opportunity without becoming desperate, whether you can engage with power without becoming drunk on it, whether you can hold your ground even when the ground gets elevated beneath your feet, because that's what they're actually screening for, even if they never say it explicitly. They're not looking for someone who can pretend to have values. They're looking for someone whose values don't change when the circumstances do. Someone who's the same person in the penthouse that they were in the basement. Someone who treats the janitor the same way they treat the CEO because they understand something most people don't, that human value doesn't come from position or wealth or status, but from something deeper, something that either exists or doesn't exist regardless of external circumstances. And you have that. That's why they're coming. That's why your frequency registered. That's why doors are about to open that were locked yesterday.